Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. This morning we'll be in Psalm 125, verses 1 through 5. I was going to go farther with that sentence, but I didn't have any words, so. Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion. It cannot be upended and will endure forever. As the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people, now and forevermore. Indeed, the scepter of a wicked king will not settle upon the allotted land of the godly, otherwise the godly might do what is wrong. Do good, O Lord, to those who are good, to the morally upright. As for those who are bent on traveling a sinful path, may the Lord remove them, along with those who behave wickedly. May Israel experience peace. This is another one of the Songs of Ascent, and describes how those who trust in the Lord won't be upended. So, from Guzik, like the other Songs of Ascent in the series of 15, it was especially appropriate for those pilgrims on their way to Jerusalem for one of the 3 annual major feasts of Israel. We can imagine the pilgrims chanting this song when walking the city walls, from Spurgeon. Those who trust in the Lord. What follows is a promise made to those who put their trust in the Lord. We can't properly put our trust in him until we remove our trust in other things. He alone is our refuge and strength. The phrase, those who trust in the Lord, shows one of the several facets of our relationship named in the Old Testament, along with the mention of those who fear, love, and know him, a personal bond too intimate to be a passing liaison, from Kidner. There is a false trust in Zion, a trust that does not go beyond the mere city, or presumes on the commitment of God to preserve the city, from Boise. All that deal with God must deal upon trust, and he will give comfort to those only that give credit to him, and make it appear they do so by quitting other confidences and venturing to the utmost for God. The closer our expectations are confined to God, the higher our expectations may be raised. From Henry. It is a good thing to understand much and to trust in the Lord with growing knowledge. But, dear soul, if you do not know much, yet if you are trusting in the Lord, you shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed. From Spurgeon. You are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved. The pilgrim who came from afar was impressed with the stature and standing of Mount Zion, the prominent hill upon which Jerusalem was established. The one who believes and trusts in the Lord is promised the same security, and he or she abides forever. Our place in his love, his new life, and his gracious purpose lasts forever and cannot be moved. Some people are like the sand, ever shifting and unstable. Some people are like the sea, restless and unsettled. Some people are like the wind, uncertain and inconsistent. Believers are like a mountain, strong, stable, and secure. To every soul that trusts him, the Lord says, "Thou art Peter." Jehovah is their rock foundation, their encompassing protection, their enthroned king. In him, all their strength and confidence. In him is all their strength and confidence. From Morgan. It is bedrock, high and secure. Moreover, it is surrounded by other mountains, which the writer compares to God, who likewise surrounds his people. From Boise. Is it not strange that wicked and idolatrous powers have not joined together, dug down this mount, and carried it into the sea, that they might nullify a promise, in which the people of God exult? Till ye can carry Mount Zion into the Mediterranean Sea, the Church of Christ shall grow and prevail. From Clark. As the mountains surround Jerusalem, Jerusalem is not set upon one hill, but established among a series of hills. God's people can trust that Yahweh will surround and protect them as the mountains surround Jerusalem. The pilgrim coming to Jerusalem saw these mountains, and with this song made spiritual application from the geography. so the Lord surrounds his people. God promised not only to be present with his people, but also to be all around them. He would surround them so that nothing can get to them unless it first passed through him. As the mountains surround Jerusalem, Mount Zion is not the highest peak in the mountain range around Jerusalem. To its east lies the Mount of Olives, to its north Mount Scopus. To the west and south are other hills, all of which are higher than Mount Zion. Surrounded by mountains, Mount Zion was secure by its natural defensibility from Van Gemmeren. It is surrounded with other mountains, at no great distance, as if placed in the midst of an amphitheater, from Clark. The mountains around the holy city, though they do not make a circular wall, are nevertheless set like sentinels to guard her gates. God does not enclose his people within ramparts and bulwarks, making their city to be a prison, but yet he so orders the arrangement of his providence that his saints are as safe as if they dwelt behind the strongest fortifications, from Spurgeon. It is a beautiful conception. Around the chosen city, the mountains stood like sentinels, leaving no part without its barrier. So is God around us, and this enables us to understand how his permissions may become his appointments. The assaults of our foes are at least permitted by God, and his permissions are his appointments, from Mayer. His people. We are here taught that the Lord's people, and those who trust him, are those who trust him, for they are thus described in the first verses, from Spurgeon. From this time forth and forever, the promise abides for the people of God, those who trust him. God's surrounding protection will be with the believers forever, even as Jesus promised his presence to his people to the end of the age. Note it is not said that Jehovah's power or wisdom defends the believers, but he himself is round about them. They have his personality for their protection, his Godhead for their guard, from Spurgeon. We must never separate verse 1 from verse 2. The promise of verse 2 has the condition of trust in verse 1. In the days when these people failed in faith, the surrounding mountains failed to secure safely to Zion. It was overcome and trodden down, from Morgan. It's important for us to trust God, to be secure in him. Elsewhere, it says, "You will keep in perfect peace him whose mind is steadfast, because he trusts in you." For the scepter of wickedness shall not rest on the land allotted to the righteous. This was the protection God promised to his people who trusted in him. In Israel's history, the scepter of wickedness only rested on the land when God's people were stubbornly unrighteous and untrusting in him. The scepter of wickedness. This may or may not point to foreign domination. The heathen have no monopoly of sin, from Kidner. Scepter here may be taken for persecution or for rule, and then it may be thus interpreted: the wicked shall not be permitted to persecute always, nor to have a permanent rule, from Clark. Regardless of how evil the times, they knew that the Lord had promised never to permit the wicked to prevail over the righteous, from Van Gemmeren. The pilgrims on their journey to Jerusalem would see much of the land allotted to the righteous as they traveled. They could rightly reflect on this promise and determine that they would be those who trusted in God. They were the righteous ones who had received God's allotment of the land. Lest the righteous reach out their hands to iniquity, God knows that the rule of the wicked could provoke even the godly to sin through rebellion or frustration. This is one of the reasons why God promised not to allow the wicked to rule on the land allotted to the righteous. It needs divine wisdom to determine how long a trial must last in order that it may test faith, thereby strengthening it, and may not confound faith, thereby precipitating feeble souls into sin. He knows when to say, "It is enough," from Maclaren. If evil were to prevail, it might be an occasion for some of the godly to be tempted, to lose heart, and to fall away. For the sake of God's people, wickedness must come to an absolute end, from Van Gemmeren. God, saith Chrysostom, does like a lute player, who will not let the strings of his lute be too slack, lest it mar the music. nor suffer them to be too hard, stretched, or screwed up, lest they break from trap. Do good, O Lord, to those who are good. One of the primary features of the Old Covenant God made with the Israelites at Mount Sinai was the principle of blessing their obedience and cursing their disobedience. Here the singer simply prayed that God would fulfill that aspect of the covenant and do good for those who are good. The amazing greatness of the revelation of the gospel of Jesus Christ is that God did good for those who are not good. We remember that in due time Christ died for the ungodly, and God demonstrates his own love toward us, and that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. From Romans 5:6 and 5:8. To those who are upright in their hearts. The good and upright in heart are they who stand steady in every change of circumstances, who complain not of God's dispensations, but, believing everything to be best which he ordains, adheres to him with a will entirely conformed to his, in adversity no less than in prosperity. From Horn. As for such as turn aside to their crooked ways, under the Old Covenant there was blessing for the good, but many curses for the wicked. The singer pictured these workers of iniquity being led out of the land in exile. Those who are not faithful, who give way to sin, who backslide, and walk in a crooked way, widely different from the straight way of the upright, Yesharim, the straight in heart, they shall be led forth to punishment with the common workers of iniquity. From Clark. The psalmist uses a vivid image to describe half-hearted adherence to the people of Jehovah. They bend their ways so as to make them crooked. Those crooked wandering ways can never lead to steadfastness or to any good. From McLaren. The Lord shall lead them away. It is important to notice the difference between the writer's prediction of God's sure judgment on the wicked and his petition for blessing on the righteous. He does not need to ask that the wicked will be judged, because their judgment is certain. Sometimes sooner than either we or they expect. From Boise. Peace be upon Israel. Psalm 125 ends with a prayer pronouncing shalom upon Israel, essentially that they would be good, that they would be the good that enjoy blessing, and not be the wicked who suffer exile. We remember that Jerusalem means peace, shalom. Thus we are told, we shall not only be like Salem, but shall have Salem too. From Boise. Finally, the poet, stretching out his hands over all Israel, as if blessing them like a priest, embraces all his hopes, petitions, and wishes in the one prayer, peace be upon Israel. Yeah. And for us who believe in Jesus, we can enjoy this petition of God doing good for the good as well, because Jesus is our righteousness. If we accept his sacrifice on the cross on our behalf. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 25. There is a way that seems right to a person, but its end is the way that leads to death. Yeah. I think this is an important truth to realize, that not everything that seems good to us will ultimately lead to a good outcome. That it may be that something seems good to us, but it will end in death. And this is wisdom that stands contrary to our wisdom of our popular wisdom of our age, rather. That you should believe in yourself, believe in your heart, and listen to your heart. And the idea is that it won't lead you wrongly. But the problem is that it does sometimes lead us wrongly, being a source of wickedness. Yeah. There is a way that seems right to a man, from Guzik here. Some people walk a path of life that they know is wrong, and many can't speak this morning, and many proverbs speak to that person. Others walk a path of life that seems right to them, and they are mistaken. It isn't enough to feel good about our path or to follow our heart on life's way. God's revelation and word are always truer and safer than what seems right to a man. But its end is the way of death. Taking the wrong way, even if it seems right to a man, isn't an innocent mistake. This is because the wrong path ends in death. The end of the wrong path isn't temporary trouble or inconvenience, its end is the way of death. The repetition of this proverb, also at Proverbs 14:12, emphasizes its greatness and importance. And think not this is a vain repetition, but know that it is thus redoubled, that it may be better remarked and remembered. Nothing is more ordinary or more dangerous than self-delusion. To warn us, therefore, of this great wickedness is that this sentence is reiterated. Yeah, and oftentimes in the Bible, repetition is used to emphasize the importance that we should pay attention and that we should learn what's being said, not for the purpose of vanity, as it were. Anywho, I think I will leave 1 Kings till next time here, and just go with this for now. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you have a great day. Bye.